Tonight, the lawyer with the Midas touch.
I couldn't believe he got me off. No, I'd just give him a big hug and a big kiss. If ever I have any other motoring offences, I know that he'll sort it for me, really.
King of the road and toast of the celebrity world.
You've been called Manchester United's best defender.
Well, I have defended a few, yes. Ferguson, Beckham, White, York, Fallen.
Champion of justice or driving a juggernaut through the system.
There is an element of worry if you know he's involved in a case that he will either get somebody off completely or he will get them off with a much lesser penalty than they would have ordinarily received.
Good evening. To the tabloids, he's Mr. Loophole. To football fans, he's the Premiership's best defender. But to the rich and famous whose driving licenses are under threat, he's simply the man who can get them off the hook. Nick Freeman is a lawyer with a habit of winning his cases, often against seemingly impossible odds. His success has brought him a string of celebrity clients and a millionaire lifestyle. But is he using his legal skills to get justice? Or is he, as some critics say, helping to make our roads more dangerous? Jonathan Maitland reports.
All I'm doing is, I'm a defence lawyer, I'm putting forward an argument. Nothing more, nothing less. I just try and be a lawyer, and I try and do it to the best of my ability. If you allow your morality to get involved, you couldn't do your job properly.
So says Nick Freeman, lawyer, millionaire and friend of the famous. When they're in trouble, he's the man they call to get them out of it. And with good reason. Just ask David Beckham, or Sir Alex Ferguson, golf ace Colin Montgomery, or Ronnie O'Sullivan. After officers stopped him on suspicion of drink driving, they charged him with failing to provide a urine sample. But Freeman argued the former world snooker champ was too stressed to give one. He won, and Ronnie kept his licence, reserving some very nice words for the man responsible.
He was top drawer, A1, and if ever I have any other motoring offences, he's the first person I phone up because I know that he'll sort it for me, really.
The celebrities may lay on the praise, but not everyone is as impressed with Nick Freeman. His success has made him the scourge of the police and road safety campaigners.
There is an element of worry if you know he's involved in a case. There is an element of, well, there's a very strong chance that he will either get somebody off completely or he will get them off with a much lesser penalty than they would have ordinarily received.
So, is Nick Freeman guilty of driving a juggernaut through British motoring laws, or simply exposing the failings in a system for the rich and famous to exploit? Whatever the answer, it's made him famous.
Right, this is your wall of fame, yeah?
Yep, it is.
All your celebrity clients?
Most of them.
Now, you're a bit of a celebrity yourself, aren't you? Mr. Loophole, as the tabloids call you.
Well, that's a nickname that I have.
Yeah, do you like that?
Not particularly, no. I don't actually think it reflects what I do. Loophole to me connotes something slightly underhand and devious.
You must enjoy it a bit, though. You would have it on your wall.
What I do is I take advantage of legal niceties and mistakes that the Crown make and use that to my client's advantage.
Right, can we have a roll call of the rich and famous that you've represented?
Well, there's a few here of Dwight, because Dwight's had a few cases, as you can see, about 3 or 4 cases.
Dwight York certainly has, and he's also good reason to thank his lawyer. He escaped prosecution for speeding after Freeman pointed out the police form hadn't been signed by the footballer.
They're called Lee Ryan, lead singer of Blue.
Ah, Paul Ince.
Well, it was his wife, actually.
Claire Ince, to be precise. After she was charged with speeding at 100 miles an hour, Freeman discovered the police had sent the form to her husband, footballer Paul. It was a technical blunder and she escaped a ban. Back of the net indeed.
And then going down here, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan, drink driving case. Then Colin Montgomery.
2 cases about which we'll hear more later.
Nick Freeman, for the defence, asked William Ralston, the chair of the magistrates.
The lawyer first hit the headlines 6 years ago when he helped David Beckham escape a ban for speeding. He was still at United and on his way home from a match when he was clocked doing 76 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. Beckham received an 8-month ban, but Freeman then appealed against the sentence.
He was being chased by a paparazzi who'd been waiting outside his house, followed him for ages, and it was just that this paparazzi was driving like a maniac. David was very concerned about his own safety on the road and wanted to put some distance between him and this paparazzi. So he accelerated away.
But the court bought that argument that
Well, no,
because he was concerned about his safety, he went even faster.
Yeah, which you're entitled to do, legally. If you're in danger, you feel compelled to do something, you're entitled under very limited circumstances to do it.
And he's right. Grab yourself a copy of Wilkinson's Road Safety Law and you'll find a rule called duress of circumstance, which permits you to speed if you're at risk of death and serious injury. But that poses another question. But surely by going even faster, he put himself in even more danger.
No, he didn't, because he was in a very powerful car and was just trying to exceed the speed limit to lose the paparazzi guy, which was he was in a relatively small, not a very powerful motor car.
Well, the judge accepted the argument and the ban was overturned. So he went from getting points, an endorsement and a ban to nothing at all?
Correct.
What's the moral of the story there? Is it if at first you don't succeed, appeal?
I think the moral of the story is for the paparazzi not to put so much pressure on these celebrities.
As well as acting for Beckham, he successfully defended Sir Alex Ferguson. He was charged with driving on the hard shoulder of a motorway, but cleared after Freeman presented evidence that he'd developed sudden stomach trouble during the journey. So, manager and star player both back behind the wheel. No wonder the Old Trafford fans gave him another nickname. You've been called Manchester United's best defender.
Well, I have defended a few, yes. I've had several. I've had.
Give me some names.
Ferguson, Beckham, Fallen, Dwight York, Jaap Stam's wife, Wayne Rooney, Paul Ince's wife, Laurent Blanc. There've been several. I'm sure I've missed them out.
Right, so you've defended virtually a Manchester United football team's worth of...
Most of them.
Of players and officials.
Schmeichel's son,
right,
who of course plays for City now.
All on driving charges?
Yeah, all on driving, all relatively minor road traffic matters, endorsable offences.
So they must love you here?
Well, I do a reasonable job for them. I do a reasonable job for them.
Do you get a Christmas card from them every year?
I do, yes. Yes, I do. I'm on their Christmas card list.
And defending Premiership stars has brought other rewards, like the luxury home in Cheshire's soccer and stockbroker belt, plus top-of-the-range motors.
I mean, a lot of lawyers, they don't focus. They eat too much, they're overweight, they drink too much, they smoke, they have long lunches, long boozy lunches, and then they wonder why they don't win the case. And he just eats, sleeps and drinks the case he's doing at that moment.
Mr. Reeves, I think he pleaded guilty, you know. 3 times the limit, left the scene.
Why didn't you do that one?
I obviously didn't ask for it. Didn't ask me, no. I think he pleaded guilty.
I mean, he'd do it whether he was being paid something or nothing, because he just likes argument. I mean, it's a nightmare being married to him because, you know, he always tries to win the argument. I have to keep reminding him, you know, you're not in court now.
So far this year, he's taken almost 100 motoring cases on top of other criminal casework. The caseload is managed from modest offices in Manchester by his business partner and legal clerk, Trevor Howarth, known in some legal circles as the Rottweiler.
It's not so much, I would say, working with him, it's more or less living with him. It's not a job that you can finish at 5 o'clock and then disappear. Nick will ring me invariably in the shower at 6:30 in the morning, the phone's going, he wants to discuss a point of law or a case that he's just reviewed the evidence and he's not satisfied. He has sufficient documentation.
So, any new stuff about?
Yes, there's 15 yesterday. There's 9 so far this morning. 2 very well-known high-profile clients in central London.
Right.
One a Premiership footballer.
As speeding offences have spiralled, so has demand for his services. He now does as many as 4 trials a week.
Well, my work takes me all over the country. I'm in a different place every day. I'm probably in my car for about an average of 4 hours a day, maybe even more, and I cover between 1,000 and 1,500 miles a week.
Yet, despite the huge mileage, Freeman has never received a speeding ticket himself. He abides by the country's limits, even if he doesn't always agree with them.
I think in built-up areas, it's right that there should be a maximum of 30 or even less. But I think in certain circumstances on deserted motorways, I don't think they in any way accommodate the sort of cars that we now drive, and they don't in fact reflect the road traffic conditions that sometimes prevail. And I think they should be variable, as they are on the continent. So I think under certain circumstances they should be far faster.
But not as fast as the speed driven by another of his clients. March 2005, and the lawyer's unblemished record is about to face its toughest test. This is Nick Harrison, heir to a £200 million fortune. Last November, he was allegedly clocked driving at 173 miles an hour on the M25, quicker than a passenger jet on takeoff, and the fastest speed ever recorded by the police on Britain's roads.
If we win everything, that will be stupendous. What I'm hoping to do, ultimately, the primary goal is to avoid prison.
So it's odds against winning. But as rival lawyers have witnessed, he's a master at snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
Nick and others have been skilled in the art of what is known technically as the ambush defence. I was in a trial 2 or 3 years ago against him, and the officer in the case gave evidence that he'd seen Nick's client driving his car, which was disputed. And Nick said to him, "Officer, are you chewing gum?" And the officer coloured, and he said, "No, sir." And Nick said, "Officer, you're chewing something, aren't you?" And the officer said, "It's medication, sir. I've had a cough." And Nick then said, "Well, what is it? What's it called? Where's the packet?" And the officer said, "It's called airwaves, sir." And Nick said, "Well, that's gum, isn't it?" And the officer said, "Yes, it is, sir." And Nick then said, "Officer, you've been lying to the court just as you've been lying about my client driving that car." Now that, of course, is supreme advocacy on the spur of the moment from nothing.
And today it's victory again. When the prosecution presented their case, they made a basic but fundamental error, failing to produce any evidence that Nick Harrison was actually the driver of the car. When his lawyer pointed out that mistake, the court declared the case over. Harrison walked away a free man. No ban, not even a penalty point.
Hi, the result for Mr. Harrison?
He didn't do badly, actually. Believe it or not, the prosecution didn't deduce any evidence of ID. Can you believe it? So,
no evidence?
No evidence as to who was driving. So, not guilty, cost out of central funds.
Were you appalled that he got off, or were you pleased?
To be honest, I was absolutely over the moon. I was delighted. It's the fastest speed ever recorded by the police.
Yeah.
And one has to gain a sense of satisfaction by getting somebody off the highest speed ever recorded.
Right, so victory for you as a lawyer, but it wasn't a victory for public safety, was it?
No. But having said that, the allegation was on the M25, 4 o'clock in the morning, not another car on the road. I'm not condoning people travelling at that speed, but there was nobody else on the road. So the person who was driving was probably a fool to himself.
It's not the first time he's exploited this courtroom blunder to get his clients off. Last September, Colin Montgomery was charged with doing 96 miles an hour in a 70-mile zone in his Mercedes. It came to court and the prosecution presented its case. They mentioned seeing the Mercedes being driven at high speed, but they didn't mention the name of the driver. It was a procedural error, and Freeman pounced on it.
Yeah, well, the green's over there, actually. Sorry.
Is it?
Yeah.
So what happened with Colin Montgomery then? Because you got him off...
Well, yeah, I got him off on a point that I never expected to get him off. He came into court, sat down, case proceeded, and the Crown simply omitted to adduce any evidence that he was the driver.
But he was the driver?
Yeah, absolutely. We never suggested he wasn't, but of course the Crown have to prove various essential ingredients of their case, and it's up to them.
Yeah.
I think this is me.
But did you feel kind of bad getting him off?
I felt absolutely deliriously happy.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't guilty. He was found not guilty.
But he was driving, you just admitted it.
Yes, but he wasn't charged with driving, he was charged with speeding.
Amazingly, prosecutors do this time and time again. They present a case but forget to say the name of the person who was driving. It's a technical error, but an error all the same, and it meant Colin Montgomery keeping a clean licence.
What did he say to you afterwards?
He was very happy, very chuffed, as you'd expect.
Was he chuffed when he saw the bill?
I wasn't there when he opened his post.
Appearing in more serious cases has also helped make Freeman's name. In 1996, he defended EastEnders star Steve McFadden. He had earlier got him off 2 speeding charges, but this time the actor was caught driving with more than twice the legal limit of alcohol, and he was facing a 2-year driving ban.
You never know what's going to happen when you go into court. Sometimes, like I say, you have a result, and sometimes you don't. The reason you employ Nick is because you hope you will get a result. But it's just as likely you won't as you will. But I suppose having Nick slightly tips the balance in your favour.
And so it proved. With Freeman defending, he walked away with just an 18-month ban.
As for the leniency of the sentence, I know there's a sliding scale. And he got me the best result that was possible on that sliding scale. I mean, the magistrates have got certain parameters that they have to work within, and he got the best. He got me right onto the edge of those parameters.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's 2001 case was even more high profile. Police had pulled over the world snooker champion for driving erratically. They took him to the station on suspicion of drink driving and asked him to provide a water sample. But after drinking 8 glasses of water, he still couldn't do it. So police charged him with failing to supply a sample of urine. I caught up with Ronnie, a noted car enthusiast, as he went to collect his latest luxury motor, and he agreed to talk about the case.
My solicitor had said that I had no chance, and my mate was there on a meeting and says, don't throw your licence in, I've got a fella that might be able to help you. And hence, that's when I met Nick.
At the time of his arrest, O'Sullivan was being treated for depression and drink problems at the Priory, which was where Nick Freeman went for their first meeting.
He come down to see me. We had a chat and asked me what's going on and this and that. And to be fair, I thought I was wasting my time, you know, because a lot of people had already told me that, you know, you're guilty, really. And but he just seemed, you know, I thought, give it a go, why not, you know, nothing to lose.
My argument, in short, was that he was suffering from a very serious type of depression, and when you put somebody under pressure, when they're suffering from this sort of depression, they couldn't respond to a requirement to provide a specimen of urine.
It just seemed like, you know, it was all going against me. And then as soon as Nick got in the dock and started arguing his case, and it started looking OK for me.
You thought, I've got a chance here?
Yeah, I thought I got a chance, and, you know, there were some of the press boys there. They went, you know, we've been to a lot of these cases, but your brief really knows what he's talking about, and he's got them all over the place here, really.
When you raise a reasonable excuse, the burden shifts on the Crown to disprove it beyond reasonable doubt, and the Crown didn't call any expert to try and controvert what we were suggesting.
Against the odds, Freeman had persuaded the court. Ronnie O'Sullivan was cleared of all charges.
I couldn't believe he got me off. No, I just gave him a big hug and a big kiss. It was brilliant. Yeah, it was money well spent. But to actually sit through like 2 months and 4 or 5 days sitting in the courtroom, I was actually getting really excited, and just watching him perform the way he performed in court.
So getting off this charge was more enjoyable than winning the Snooker World Championship?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, you know, just to watch someone perform the way they did in court, and I was in awe, really, to be honest with you.
So it mattered that much to you, keeping your licence, that getting off was kind of the best thing in the world, even better than a 147 or being world champion?
It's nice playing snooker, but I've been doing that for 22 years, and it just becomes a little bit, it's the same old. You know what you're going to do. You win a title, you make a 147, so what, you know, you do them quite, you expect to do that. But, you know, when the unexpected happens, and it really was unexpected for me to keep my licence, I was just made up.
Another day, another client. This time it's Jamie Meakin, regular in the gossip columns, an ex-boyfriend of Coronation Street's Nicky Sanderson. He was charged with drink driving last December after crashing into a garden wall. Now he's chosen Nick Freeman to defend him. It's the lawyer's 50th motoring case this year, and he's won every one. But if he loses that record today, Meakin will lose his licence.
It's a difficult case, very difficult case. I've got a good argument as to why he didn't provide blood. That's quite a solid argument, 50-50, I would say.
But despite his pessimism, he wins. And yet again, it's down to a technicality. The prosecution haven't bothered to call to court a witness named in their papers. Freeman argues that unless the witness is brought before the court for cross-examination, it's an abuse of the legal process. The court agrees, and when the prosecution fails to produce the witness, the case is thrown out. Jamie Meakin walks away without a single penalty point. So 50 wins out of 50 for the lawyer, but another resounding loss for the police and the Crown Prosecution Service.
He is doing a service in a way, because he's drawing attention to weaknesses in the law which must be tightened up in some way. Obviously, we must have convictions for drink drivers if we can. It's in the public interest. But if, on the other hand, the police haven't observed the proper procedure, or the prosecution have forgotten to do something, or there's been some oversight or mistake, then it's only right that Peter like Nick should succeed.
Welcome back to Manchester.
Yeah, good case yesterday. Excellent. Oh, they've reported it, have they?
Yep, not seen the press.
Back in Manchester, more publicity means more clients, but more worries for road safety campaigners.
There is an element, perhaps, that what he does is morally questionable. But we feel very strongly that the blame lies with the justice system, that it allows this sort of thing to take place. If Nick Freeman wasn't doing it, somebody else would.
And do you ever think to yourself, you know, I'm not massively happy with what I'm doing because I'm getting, you know, people who are a danger to the public off the hook?
But they're not actually charged with being a danger to the public. They come to me and they're charged with a specific offence.
Sure, that's the legal argument. But,
and I'm a lawyer.
Sure, but you know what you do, and do you look in the mirror the following morning and think,
no, I don't.
I'm not very happy with myself?
I don't. I have to say, if I did that, I couldn't do my job.
Has it ever occurred to you that somebody that you've got off a drink driving charge might get into their car the next morning, get drunk, and God forbid, say, go into the back of a car that had your family in it?
It's occurred to me many times. You pray and hope that would never happen, not only to me, but to anybody else. But all I'm doing is, I'm a defence lawyer, I'm putting forward an argument. Nothing more, nothing less. And my children could be killed, God forbid, by somebody who's drunk, irrespective of whether I was a lawyer, a salesman, a politician, or whoever. It wouldn't have any impact. It would have nothing to do with what I do.
Nick Freeman argues anyone with a good lawyer has a chance of being cleared of motoring offences and not just the rich and famous. He believes the existing laws are tough, but the way they're enforced is sloppy, giving clever lawyers the opportunity to win cases. If you were put in charge of the system now, I know...
From the prosecution point of view?
Yeah, made Lord Chancellor or whatever, would as many people as are getting off at present get off in the future?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would reduce the acquittals by a massive amount.
What, just by making them go back to the textbooks?
But by proper training, by training the police, by possibly training prosecutors. I mean, there are some very able prosecutors. It's horses for courses. But I think a large part of it is training the police.
Have you had a letter from the Lord Chief Justice's office saying, Nick, come and work for us?
No. I enjoy doing what I do too much. It gives me the buzz. I get a tremendous buzz out of doing what I do.
A tremendous buzz, a tremendous reputation, and what looks like pretty tremendous rewards. It seems the police and prosecutors have a long way to go to catch Nick Freeman.
Jonathan Maitland talking to celebrity lawyer Nick Freeman. And that's all we have time for tonight. We're back on Friday evening at 8 o'clock. Until then, from all of us here, goodbye and thank you for joining us.